Okay, I know some of you guys are a little nervous about the 4th of July, so I wanted to share something with you that I like to do a lot with my client horses, my personal horses. I call it desensitizing while tied up. What this does is it helps your horse figure out the answer when something scary is happening. It can also help teach them how to respond while being tied up. You know, if you take your horse somewhere and they're tied up and a bag blows by, you don't want them to think they can run off in panic. So we're going to be working on a few things here, but it can also help your horse with fireworks. I want you guys to remember while you watch this, you're teaching your horse the proper response when something bothers them. So this horse has never done this, haven't done anything with this horse like this. So we're going to get started. We're going to use 3 different tools while we do this. We're going to start with the lunge whip. So when I start out, I'm going to be back behind my horse. And I'm just going to start swinging this in a figure-8 motion. I'm going to try to keep my rhythm steady. And I'm not going to swing it very hard when I start out, because he's never done anything like this. But I'm going to watch him and watch for him to settle. A lot of times them looking at me is a good first response. So I'll take that when he looks at me right there. I'll give him a little break, and then I'll start again. The way he's handling this, I can go a little bit stronger. I just want to maintain, good. I want to maintain my rhythm and how hard I'm hitting the ground. I want to build this up to where I'm hitting it harder and harder and teach him that's okay, it's not going to get him. I'm not asking him to lunge around the round pen like sometimes when I might use my whip. When he's just kind of wiggling around there, I'll just wait. There. Early on, I don't have to be perfect. He doesn't have to be perfectly still. Sometimes early on, you're just showing him there is an answer, that you will stop. So we'll get pickier as we go along, day 2 and 3 and 4 of this. Normally by the 3rd or 4th day, you can walk up behind him and slap the ground almost as hard as you can, and they kind of understand it's okay. So I started a little stronger there, and he had a couple of good spots, and just trying to quit him in a good spot, give him this time to think about it and start to understand this lesson. It's going to be similar to like when there's fireworks going off, except for we can time this release. There, he happened to be pooping, but he also didn't move. I didn't see his head raised. He wasn't overly worried, so I'm going to quit right there, start again. Real good. So that's good on the whip. One thing I like to do, now that he knows that, is I'll do it and I'll crack it once and then do it again. And I'm just going to throw that in there. That'll be the last thing we do with the bull whip, but I'll just throw it in there for this part too. Start up if he's good. I'll go ahead and crack it. And I'll just quit right there. And I know that goes against what I was just saying with keep the rhythm, but I found when you just do that once or twice in the beginning, let them understand it doesn't mean anything, then when you come back later, you can do it with rhythm and they get it. Always start with this again. Good. So that little pop got him a little more nervous, so he's a little unsure about what he's supposed to do. Good. Now I'll start again. Good. There, he's got it, so throw a little pop in there again. We're going to move on to the next tool. The next thing we're going to use is our training flag. So our horse already knows the answer. We're just changing this noise, this stimulus by a little bit. I'll do the same pattern like this. Good. As they get a little better like that, you can wait for a blink or wait for them to look at you. Looking at you, that's kind of a bravery thing. Like, I feel like it's not that I want them to turn and come to me, but I do find if they're scared and they look at me and I quit, facing that fear builds their confidence right there. We'll go again. We'll go a little bit stronger. There. So he's locking up just a little bit, kind of freezing. So as he thought about looking at me, I went ahead and quit. Then he looks over here. You can see, you know, he's a little more mentally present right there. He's not just shutting down. some people might think you're teaching your horse to shut down, and I'll be honest, let's say you actually believe that. Shutting down in this moment, standing still, is better than running off and running through the fences. A lot of people right now are worried. They're worried that their horse is going to run and jump the fence because fireworks go off. I'd rather teach my horse to stay still and be unsure than run off and be unsure. So I don't think it's shutting them down, but if that's your belief, it's still better than the alternative. We'll do one more of this. We'll just watch him right here. There, he did a little half blink almost. I guess maybe just a bit. His ears are starting to move there. He started to think about looking at me, so I quit right there. So we're gonna do the last one, which is the bullwhip. So the bullwhip is gonna be the most like a firework. This I can do in rhythm. Some people can't, but if you can't, good. So he's progressed really well. This is his first day with us, but he's had groundwork. You're just teaching him to stand and accept that. As you do this 3 or 4 or 5 days in a row, they get really comfortable with it. So if day one he just looks frozen, over time he's going to get better and better. Good. The reason I got to this, doing desensitizing while tied up, I train a lot of Mustangs. And what happens when you go to desensitize a Mustang? They either run off and try to rip the rope out of your hand, or they run you over. And so I learned if I do this the first day or two, then I can go up to them and throw ropes over their back and crack a whip in front of them, and it's really easy. I don't want that lead rope to get worn out. I don't want them to learn to run through it. I don't want them to learn to run me over. Tying them up, the pole is very consistent. They have a there he's licking and chewing. They have a very defined boundary where they can be. Now I could also do this with them loose in a pen, but this setup helps them find the answer faster. That's my goal. I just want you to figure out to stand, relax, accept it. It took him a minute to lick and chew and really start to accept it, but over a few days that happens faster. And all he's saying is, or all he's really figuring out is, that's got nothing to do with me. That doesn't mean go, doesn't mean anything, just like the fireworks. Just like, I'm in Texas, there's gunshots all the time, especially in October, November. So I like it because I don't wear out my lead rope while I am teaching them, showing them this initial stimulus that I don't want them to do anything to. A lot of the Mustangs, I'll even start with a soft rope. I'll step over here and I'll throw it over their back. This desensitizing while tied up, they find the answer faster and they don't learn as many bad habits. So I know it's a little late for 4th of July this year, but if you want to try variations of this, you'll start to really understand and like it. All you're doing is teaching your horse the response to something. This, in terms of loud noises, things behind them, this works really fast and effectively. So I hope that helps. Let me know if you guys have any questions.